Support for this episode of PBS Reno Arts is provided by the Nevada Arts Council. Arts and creativity make us stronger, fueling innovation, prosperity, and thriving communities across Nevada. They boost our economy, promote well-being, and enhance education, empowering Nevadans of all ages. The Nevada Arts Council nurtures these essential creative forces. Together, let's elevate the arts in every corner of our great state. More at nvartscouncil.org. This is PBS Reno Arts. I'm Dave Santina in the studios of PBS Reno in Reno, Nevada, and this is the second half of a doubleheader. We are not playing baseball. We are podcasting, but I last week talked with Jack Kelly about Wild Nevada for the Wild Nevadacast, and what do you know? We kept him over so we could talk about his work in the arts. Jack is a published author now, and I want to know all about this because I had no idea until he said, hey, look, I wrote a book. And it just came to me out of nowhere. So I brought Jack Kelly in more to talk about this side of his life that is fascinating to me. Thanks for coming back again, Jack, and being our second half of our doubleheader. You're like a pitcher who's doing both games. Your arm must be exhausted.
Oh, it is.
So yeah, listen to Wild Nevadacast for the first part if you want to hear Jack talk about all the work we did years ago in Wild Nevada. It was a lot of fun. But this is today. This is the work he's doing today. So you've started this whole new creative endeavor as an author, and you've got 2 books published already. One that is just now available on Amazon. So maybe we should start with the new one. So yeah, tell me what can you tell me about this book that just dropped on Amazon that people can get?
Well, the name of it is The Pallbearer, and it takes place in Nevada, down in Carson City. And there's a horrific, gruesome murder that kicks off a police investigation.
It's a good start.
And it's like, who was this guy? Because he was a librarian at the Nevada State Archives. So it's like, who would want to kill a librarian?
Right.
And so as you go through the story, it starts unraveling and it gets deeper and it gets to the end, but that's I don't want to give away too much.
No, you don't want to give away too much.
That's about what this thing becomes. It becomes kind of a noir mystery as well as a police procedural, and it takes you in Carson City, but also over to Afghanistan in 2006. So there's a lot of elements to it.
I've noticed that there it is, The Pallbearer, and there's another, and you do. This is your second book. Your first was Cahill's Journal, which dropped in 2025.
Right.
And I will also tell you, I read that first and really enjoyed it. And then I thank you in advance, or thank you in retrospect. You gave me a PDF of The Pallbearer as an advance, a copy to read, and I really enjoyed that too. And what I really like about your writing is you get right into it. You get right into the story and the activity and the action and the plot, and it's immediately it grabs a reader and makes you want to chug through. I've read them pretty quickly because, and this is a complete compliment. It holds my attention and makes me want to know what comes next, what happens next, what's the deal, and there's a bit of Christopher Nolan in you because both of your books so far, these 2 books. The stories take place in different. Parts of them are different timelines, different time periods, and I think that is really fun to help sort of create the mystery and then also sort of unwind it at the same time. So, how do you approach that kind of a story writing where you're making it complicated for yourself, and then you have to lay it out? So what's behind all of that? Where did that, what makes that happen?
I'll tell you, Cahill's Journal, which lost my microphone, was the first one. And that actually, Dave, took almost 10 years to write.
Really? Okay.
I found an early draft of it, and it was like 2010 or something. And that one, as I was starting to write it from the perspective of the journalist who gets a call saying, you do remember me? I lived in West Virginia, and he drags the journalist in by saying, there's these these guys in black and they're murdering people.
Yeah.
And, they look like military. And so this is, 10, 15 years ago, I'm writing this, but it's like, this just is improbable. And then I rewrote it and I made it all happen in D.C. And then I was thinking, well, I'll make it 2025 or 24, I'll make it thing, but like, nah, that doesn't work. And finally it hit me as this like, well, we'll tell two stories. The Journalist happening in 1985 and someone discovering his stuff in 2025. And with the things happening in 2025 across our country makes what happened in 1985 more plausible. So I had the plausibility because people are experiencing today what he was sort of alluding to back then.
Yeah, I felt the relevance there, and that's interesting. I apologize if you're watching this or listening to this and I'm jumping around because we're talking about two different books. Jack, they dropped relatively close together. The Cahill's Journal came out in what, mid 25?
Yeah, somewhere.
Sort of.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And now we're getting the Pallbearer. So that's pretty prolific. It seems, but then when you tell me that the first book was 10 years in the making, it's more deliberate than it seems. Where do these ideas come from? I didn't even know you wrote. So have you always been a writer in your private life?
No.
Okay.
Like I say, when I first started Cahill's Journal, it actually had a different name, and but then I dropped that. There was a guy that was a graphic artist in Miami, and I was trying to work with him to do it as a graphic novel.
Oh, cool.
But that fell by the wayside. So it's when I finally got back to it in 2025, and things started making sense and coalescing and coming together, it just came out very easily. But I don't have a draft outline of where it's going to go. I write a chapter, and it's almost like doing a Wild Nevada. You see what happens. And then you move on to the next adventure, and each chapter ends with kind of a line to hold you on and move you into the next thing. And so eventually both books start off simply, and I don't really know where they're going until I start writing.
Really? So you didn't know where either of those was going to end up at the beginning? That's incredible. How do you, is it just do you just get a spark of inspiration in the middle of it as you're writing it and you start thinking, oh, I know where this can go?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's sort of like that where you're writing and you realize, I need the narrative to go this way because I want to explore this character a little bit more or this. And now I think I want to take it back here. And so because I'm in the Pallbearer, I'm jumping back and forth in between 2006 and 2025. There's a point where you say, okay, I've been in 2025 long enough. I have to go back to 2006 and go along that. So there's just this real-time juggling of what the story's going.
So you're writing so this is very linear, it sounds like. You're writing these stories, even though they jump around in time and two sort of parallel storylines, you're writing them linearly, chapter by chapter, so that you're deciding, I got to go back to the 20-year. That sounds really hard.
No, I think it's very easy. It's kind of like editing a TV show.
Well, there are people who will tell you that could be hard too, but but I guess it depends on the material. Where do these ideas come from? I mean, you are, I think, at least based on locations, West Virginia, Nevada, and that there's some element of writing what you know, right? So the locations seem like they're inspiring you to place your characters and your stories in these locations that you know. But then the stories, I'm hoping that none of these things have been a part of your life. So, because if you're writing from experience, I don't want to know how you know all that stuff, but because there's a lot of intrigue and subterfuge and deceit and then I'm not going to spoil any of it because it's fun to read and follow along and sort of wait and see what comes next. Where does this go? But there's a lot to them and they're not long books. These are like roughly 140 to 150 pages.
150, 60 pages.
Yeah, so
they're more of a novella.
Yeah. Okay. So so a lot happens in a relatively short time. So, and this is why there's no fat on the bones of these books.
Right.
you're not spending you're not spending a chapter describing the scenery of a city before we get into the action. We're into the place and things happen. And
Yeah.
so, is that by design? Are you inspired by other writers who you have read and enjoy and think I kind of want to write like that, or is it just whatever comes out of you is just your style?
I think whatever comes out of me is just my style.
Okay.
That there's a phrase that's in the writer's world called show or tell, don't show. So if you're showing, if I get this right, you're adding a lot of stuff in there and expanding the book. And if you're telling, it's the action. It's happening.
It's the opposite of doing a TV show, right? Because on TV you want to show, you don't want to tell, because then you're just standing and talking. Yeah. So you'd rather show.
I had one person who told me they didn't like Cahill's journal because it read like a movie.
I thought the
too
same.
Too much dialogue. It's like, how can you have too much dialogue?
how else do you know what's going on? Yeah, that's
because you basically show or tell people what's going on.
Yeah.
Not from the character's perspective, but from the author's perspective. And I prefer writing from a character's perspective.
Yeah, it does read. Now you mention it, I could see that it does. That's maybe why I've enjoyed reading them and went through them both so fast. Is that they do move at a quick pace. They get. They're not rushed, but they are quick paced, and so they. You don't. There is no chapter that feels like, well, that was a filler.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you read.
That'd be terrible if I had just a filler chapter.
Yeah, I've read plenty of authors where I'll wonder why we needed as much detail about the building or the atmosphere, the weather, the way the sound of the rain hitting the puddle or something. There's that doesn't make it less great as a written piece, but it does, as a reader, give a different impression to me. And so that's what I find is really fascinating, is that I could see both of these books being turned into a movie or a television series or something where it's, you've got characters who could come back in other future adventures. And I was going to ask you about that. Do you have designs on any of these characters still playing around in your head for futures?
Well, actually, I have started a third book, and it's with the characters from the Pallbearer.
Okay.
So it's back in Carson City. And I was like, boy, if Chris was around, I'd like to ask her, did you ever take a hike in the mountains west of Carson City?
I can answer that for you. She has.
Oh, I gotta talk with her.
There's a brand new connector trail from Carson City to the Tahoe Rim Trail, and
yes, I read about that.
They recently promoted it. She walked on it for an episode of Wild Nevada. I had a guest on the Wild Nevadacast who was one of two winners of a contest to promote that trail. They had two people who hiked from the Capitol building to this connector trail, the Cap to Tahoe trail, they call it, Capitol to Tahoe, and then north to Canada. And they had, if they could complete it, they each would get a bonus of like $5,000. But it was, these were the people who are going to make that hike. They aren't doing it for $5,000. They're doing it because they love it and they're passionate hikers. Right. And so both of the people made it, and one of them was a guest, and it was really fun to talk to her about her plan and how she can make that work. But that was all in support of this promotion of this new trail. So Cap to Tahoe Trail, make a note for your characters.
I saw that.
They might want to take that.
Because this story I'm working on now kicks off with a murder on the Ash to Kings Canyon road.
That's one of the trails, and that's another one that Chris hiked on.
Right.
So she can tell you about it. You can watch the episode. It was in last season's Wild Nevada. I'll send it to you. You can check it out.
Okay.
A little research.
Yeah, send me the link.
A little research project.
So the other thing, how did I come up with the name The Pallbearer?
Yeah.
And by the way, the artwork on both of these is my own. I take pictures, and so this is a picture I took at like 5 a.m. And
Nice.
Cahill Journal was another one that was a picture, but I was trying, it's called in-camera movement. So as you're taking your picture, you give it a little shift, and it blurs the thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, so the
like
Pallbearer, the Pallbearer was came out because my cousin recently died, and I went to her funeral, and I was a pallbearer. And flying back home, I'm thinking, but the Pallbearer, that's a killer title.
Yeah.
And what story could come out of the Pallbearer? And that's what got started with that book.
Just the word pallbearer inspired that whole book.
Yep.
And you just created that whole story out of your imagination. How do you pull details to make it feel realistic? Do you research? Because you do a lot of, you're referencing a lot of military stuff. That's the Bagram Air Force Base in Afghanistan and places that appear. And I'm thinking, I'm assuming that you're having to prep some for that to go find some details so that it's authentic.
That's the wonderful thing about the internet. You can search anything and put anything in, and it'll find answers for you. So yes, I researched a lot of that in the Afghanistan based on just putting in a search engine saying, what's this? What would, like the weapon used in the execution. I originally had a different weapon and then decided, well, let me see what 2016 military weapons were. And it came back with, what was in there. It's like, okay, that's great. So, when Cahill's journal, the journalist then is 1985. There was no internet then.
Right.
You had nothing. You had to go source it yourself. Today, we can go to the internet and search, and stuff is right there. It's unbelievable. So that's how I do my background. Is I just think, where would this be? What would happen here in 2018 or 2025? I read up about Carson City Sheriff's Office. That's how learning about what they do in investigations and patrol and all that. And it's all available online.
Interesting. Well, and I know from your experience when you were here doing documentary projects and other work that you cross paths a lot with the state archives.
Yeah.
And so when I read that in the blurb on the back of the book, or the description was, a state archivist in Nevada, I'm like, wow, we actually knew state archivists in Nevada, like personally from work we did. So that felt like, well, that I'm guessing that just came out of a memory or your experience, like that.
Yeah,
position.
More experience than a specific memory.
Yeah, I guess that's what I mean, is the experience of working here and crossing paths with those people and knowing that there is a state archivist, because that's not a thing that I would have known existed, except that I knew it existed from having done documentaries, and interviewing people like Ron James and Guy Rocha and all these, these names which mean so much to people here. And so that felt very personal. I was like, oh, I connected that immediately. I know this. I know the building. I can see the building in my mind. And then when you're describing things like the parking garage and its proximity to the thing, I'm like, this is very accurate. I recognize this. So
that's something I really wanted to work on, was make it real for a reader today. If you were familiar with Carson City, I chose not to make it happen in Reno. There is no. I guess the reporter or the journalist lives in Reno,
right?
And he keeps having to go down to Carson City, but that's not a big deal. But he lives, and I guess he ran up to the Truckee River when he was trying to work off steam or whatever.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's all takes place. It's Carson City based, and the same thing with Cahill's Journal.
Yeah, so
it took place in southern West Virginia, and that's a place I knew. But again, I could go search. Well, actually, Cahill's Journal, I made up the towns. I made up locations just because down there, towns did disappear. Maybe at one point it existed, but it was a mining camp, and so the mining camp went away. But you can just make stuff up, make it feel real for the locale. That's what I search for.
Well, having never spent more than a day in West Virginia in my life, having only driven through once, I had no point of reference, and it felt authentic to me. So, as an outside person, it works, because I couldn't tell you that there was anything that seemed off there. So Cahill's Journal is both of these books have to do with a momentous event that happened in the past and modern day storyline of people who are they're not looking to discover this. They don't know it exists, but that they ultimately are on the path to figuring out something that happened years ago that affected a major event that happens today. And I think that's really interesting and really well done. And I referenced Christopher Nolan because it made me think about, telling a story in parallel timelines, but having it make sense. And it was really interesting, and also having it be interesting. Excuse me, having it be interesting in both time periods, right? You've got to have enough compelling activity in Afghanistan during those chapters to hold the audience, the viewer's attention, the reader's attention, and then jump back to today where the more modern day, more probably relatable daily life stuff happens. There's a reporter from Reno, which that's another reason why you had to have him be in Reno, is the TV stations are here. There's not a Carson City news channel, so it would be weird. But there's a sheriff. Is she a sheriff deputy who lives in Carson? She's a police officer in Carson.
She's a detective.
Detective, there it is. And with a family or with a daughter, and they work together. They develop friendship, and that's fun to read too. Is seeing your characters sort of become changed by their experience a little bit and grow, and that part I think would be fun to write, where you're getting to do dialogue and then getting to sort of create people and then have them play off each other, and then you get to decide how they react to that experience.
What's going to happen?
Yeah. So does that come just naturally too while you're writing it? Do you know where it's going to go within the chapter, or does even as you're writing it, do you just have to feel it, because the dialogue you're creating the dialogue for each person at the same time that you're telling the story going forward?
It's I hate to say this, but it's all about feeling. You just feel where it's going to go, and do I want to make it go there or do not go there? In Cahill's journal, the people in 2025, the lead person, Maeve, is working with a computer or IT nerd, and their relationship sort of hints that they can go somewhere, but it doesn't go somewhere, but it still has that feeling of, oh, we're getting closer together, but I didn't want to take it too far.
Right.
In the Pallbearer, you have a detective working with a journalist, and first he starts off, he's just a journalist doing his journalist job, his news, and then gets pulled into it, and she finds he's a good resource, and he likes participating. And so but again, it's not planned. You sort of feel that as the story progresses, where it goes.
And I think that makes sense to me as someone who I think I would probably work in a similar way, because you can't necessarily just lay it all out. I mean, you can try and then try to write it, and then you find out that it doesn't work the way you think it was going to work anyway. So did you ever undo a large portion or a segment of either of these books as you're writing them, and then go back and say, I need to change something?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd make it a big undo, but yeah, where well, again, Cahill's journal, I was really going on one way, which was chapter 2. That's where the late night phone call, and that's all I could see was the late night phone call and where it could go. But it's just like, no, it's not. It's just not. You need something else, and that something else came with someone discovering a hidden box in her mother's house that's been sitting around for 40 years.
Yeah, that hidden box is a big part of that story, and won't get too much detail. I'm not going to give away details because it's more fun to read and discover. But though that was a good idea you add a little extra element of mystery and discovery and intrigue, and I think that's how it felt. So you read what you wrote, and it didn't feel like it was enough. And so
when you go back and reread it. Now here's the terrible. Well, I go back and reread, and then make changes, and then think, okay, that's in the Pallbearer, I'm at the point with part of the story of trying to find out who is this man who was murdered, and you lay a crumb down that introduces Afghanistan, and that's where you're trying to make sure you don't give the crumbs away too soon, because then you've blown your story. But it's you need the crumbs to be out there to pull you, the reader, through to say, yeah, where's that going to go next? So,
okay, well, it comes out beautifully, and I think I'm imagining it's really fun to tell these stories. Like, is it just a blast?
It's a blast to make it up and tell the story and see people's reactions. Yeah.
And so, and you must have. Do you have a team of you acknowledge a lot of people and thank them in the book?
Yeah.
So I assume that you probably have a group of willing critics to be your first editors.
Right, to tell me how they like the story. Now, it's funny because the top of it is Marla, my wife.
Right.
And, we work doing stuff in Reno. But she's also, it's like, okay, no, I don't want you to tell me that I had a missing comma or, period was out of place. I'm looking for the story. How do you react to the story? And she has a hard time separating that. And I have some people who are I live in a high-rise condominium, and there's a couple down the hall, and they're former CIA people. They when they were reading the Pallbearer, they fed me back stuff saying, no, you can't, that would never have happened, this, so they were a great resource in trying to say, no, you need to do this, because that wouldn't have happened.
That is great.
So and there are other people the same thing. I rely on a core group of people to help show me where I'm going wrong and get me back on track.
Yeah, all you need are some neighbors who were ex-CIA, and it's all good. That's just a piece of cake. How lucky to have them down the hall.
I know.
That's
and then
amazing.
They can tell me, stop writing about the CIA, for God's sake.
You're going to get a note slid under your door one of these days, like, don't write that. Don't write that story. But you know what? It's a good start for a story. My neighbors, my neighbors down the hall who were ex-CIA.
Oh,
you could take that in a lot of directions.
Yes, I could, and then really get in trouble.
Well, I mean, with their permission. Don't use, the names are protected.
Well, actually, these guys are so CIA wedded to the CIA.
Yeah.
Is they don't even believe that they should be identified in any way that they were with the CIA.
Oh, wow.
The one guy was like, we had a political candidate who just got elected governor, Spanberger, and she touted her CIA background. And he's like, no, she should never have done that. So that's, he's really into, this is, you're not in it, so you should know.
Yeah, it's like Fight Club. No, first rule of CIA, don't admit there's a CIA.
Yeah, exactly.
Funny. But still, that's a good idea for a book. Come on. Go down.
Okay, if I get it going, I'll credit you.
You go down the hall to borrow a cup of sugar, and you find a dead body. What happened?
What happened?
And does the character still get the sugar from the kitchen because they still need it, or do they stop and go back and call the cops?
There you go.
These are the things that I want to know as a reader.
That's right. And in an 11-story high-rise, how could the killer get out?
Exactly. You're already writing it. It's happening. You have a cast of characters in the Pallbearer at the beginning of the book. It was kind of like looking at a playbill. But that's helpful. There are a lot of characters in that book. And I was reading this list of names, and I couldn't help thinking, how does Jack come up with names for these characters? Because there are so many. You have to have, and none of them, of course, I mean, maybe there are people, maybe you use names of people but most of them, I'm imagining you're having to create. How do you come up with that?
Well, I just make up names. I will flip through a phone book, or in one way I said, I can't go there. But basically, and my daughter got a kick out of it because one of the characters was named Smiley, and that's her married name.
Oh,
so she thought it was funny, and he was working out of Monterey, and she lives in Gilroy, which is just across the mountain from Monterey. So it was like, that was great. But the cast of characters happened because in the first book I didn't have a cast of characters.
Yeah.
And one of the people who read it said, I really could have used a cast of characters because I kept forgetting who was who. And so that's where reader feedback said, okay, add a cast of characters. That's simple enough to do.
Okay. Yeah. And it also does also lend to that notion of it feels like a movie almost, because it's got that, here's everybody and go. And all the action starts to happen. Now, I bought a copy of Cahill's journal. These are both available for purchase, but I bought a copy through an online source. Could you tell me about how that works, the way that you were able to self-publish through that online company?
Right. I'm a self-published author, which is meaning I found a company that would publish the book and basically on demand. So it's books.by is the name of the company. And I looked at other places and the thing is, how much money do they take from you? Okay. So Cahill's journal is, I think, $12.99. Out of that, I make maybe $3.50. There's shipping to ship the book to you, the reader, but they keep all the other stuff. Because they're the ones printing it, packaging it, mailing it. So you're really out of that. I mean, it's not about. I'm not going to be rich. I'm not going to be a millionaire. Right. But they don't promote. So you have to find a way to promote the books. Now, Amazon has the Kindle. They'll do the stuff. They too really don't promote your book. And it's up again for you to find a way to get the word out. But they take a little less than the books buy. But I'll tell you, when you're out there looking how to do stuff, you do a web search for, whatever. Next thing you know, my inbox is coming with people telling me how to make money. I made $20,000 a month on Amazon Kindle. And it's like, well, come on. But if you pay me $20, I can show you how I did it. So there's all these people out scamming you. And it's just like, okay. So, but I like books.by because for just yourself, you can do the thing, put it out there, buy the books in bulk, and then share them or sell them locally.
I like that. Yeah. Well, and it was fun. I bought a copy, and they sent me a note saying, "Thank you. We are printing your book now." And I thought, well, that's kind of fun. It's like ordering a pizza. It's a custom, you get a custom baked book right after you order it, and then it's shipped. I thought it was a really interesting tech method that I had not heard of before. So
and they ship it by the book rate. So the book rate is really inexpensive, but it takes 5 days.
Yeah,
so, okay.
You can wait 5 days.
Yeah, you can wait 5 days.
Yeah, worth it, but really cool. So books.by, B-Y.
B-Y, / Jack-Kelly.
Got it. Books.by /
No, dash.
Damn it. Dash Kelly.
Not dot dash.
I need an
not
editor.
Underscore.
I need to be fixed. All right. So also Amazon. Pallbearer is available on Amazon now.
Correct. And it is available as an ebook for right now. For the first 2 weeks, it's available free as an ebook.
Oh, wow.
So you can just download it as an ebook, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Fantastic. Well, I have the PDF version that you sent me early, and now I'll get the ebook, and I'll buy a copy from books.by as well, because I'm a supportive friend, and I will get every version I can. Now, is the final version of the Pallbearer any different from the PDF that you sent me? Has it been changed in any way? Because it felt complete to me.
There's some minor stuff, and especially at the end, I changed a little bit at the end.
Okay.
So, and also I've had one last go through for punctuation and commas and all that stuff. And even though, you go through it 20, 50 times, there's always one thing that stands like, oh, there was a space, too many spaces between this word and that word. Right. So that's where hopefully readers can overlook some of that stuff, because I'm not paying someone $1,000 to go read my thing and take care of all that stuff.
Hey, dude, if you just downloaded this book for free from Amazon because it's available right now, then read it and wanted to nitpick a comma, you need to give it back. Just give it. You don't deserve to have it. Not fair.
Okay,
All right,
thanks,
cool.
Dave.
Well, thank you. All right. So how can people follow you? How do can you keep up with you on socials? Do you have a social presence?
Well, I do have a website. I would have to send you the link to it because I was too cheap to pay $220 to have a regular, Jack Kelly author website.
Right.
It's just like I used to be in it. It used to be next to nothing to get a web address. To have that. Now it's expensive. I don't understand
I
it.
did not know that. Well, if it's a link that I could share with people, then I could I could post it with this podcast, and then let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Cool.
So and then it's like I'm on Instagram, but to me, Instagram is. I'm sorry, I don't see Instagram. That's because I'm an old guy.
Yeah. You've aged out of Instagram.
I've aged out of social media is the thing.
I think I might be right there with you. I don't give it a ton of my attention. It's almost never made me feel better for having the experience.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Well, I'm going to read books like The Pallbearer and Cahill's Journal, and that'll make me feel. All right.
And the next one, whatever that is.
Yeah. Well, so do you have even a sense of that one, like timeline for that, or you're just going to do it till it's done?
No, because I've written the first 3 chapters. And now I'm at that process where I'm thinking, okay, where am I going to take it? Where does it go for chapter 4?
Okay.
So,
well, I look forward to reconnecting with those characters because I like those characters.
I thought they turned out pretty good.
I liked it. Well, thank you for giving me the second half of the double header here. We've done 2 podcasts in one day and spread them out over 2 weeks for people to absorb. It's a lot. I appreciate it. Jack Kelly, the author of The Pallbearer and Cahill's Journal, and another book coming soon. Stand by. We'll get that link out. Everybody can keep checking in and see what's going on and give an update every once in a while so people keep them on the string. All right. Before we go, I need to remind everybody to watch Artifacts on PBS Reno by broadcast or streaming or pbsreno.org or the PBS Reno YouTube channel or the PBS app. Lots of ways to watch. Also, read the art views columns at pbsreno.org. Now, do you have a question or maybe a comment or a suggestion? If so, please send them to me at podcast@pbsreno.org. My thanks to Jack Kelly, and thank you for listening to PBS Reno Arts. Support for this episode of PBS Reno Arts is provided by the Nevada Arts Council. Arts and creativity make us stronger, fueling innovation, prosperity, and thriving communities across Nevada. They boost our economy, promote well-being, and enhance education, empowering Nevadans of all ages. The Nevada Arts Council nurtures these essential creative forces. Together, let's elevate the arts in every corner of our great state. More at nvartscouncil.org.